welcome everybody to our first ever Scrosoppi FC information session. My name is Maren Scannell and I am the manager of operations with Scrosoppi FC. The objective of today's session is to help you guys get to know our club and the staff involved. We're going to first introduce you to our technical staff and then go through some Scrosoppi FC questions that I've been fielding from you guys, our interested athletes. And most importantly, we're going to make sure aspiring athletes know how to try out and become involved with Scrosoppi FC. Before we get into it, I do want to run through a couple quick Zoom logistics. So number one, we do ask that all participants remain off video and muted throughout the presentation. There will be a point in time where we'll reach out to the audience to see if anybody has any questions, and we will ask that you do that through the chat feature. I also want to let you guys know that to enhance your experience, there's a way that you can turn off and hide all non-video participants. So I did send this through in an email, but in case anyone missed it, in the bottom left-hand corner, next to stop video, there's a little arrow. You can click that, click video settings, and then scroll down and check off hide non-video participants. By checking that off, you'll only be privy to the view of the SFC staff, technical staff, as well as myself. So we're now going to kick it off, and I'm going to go through some quick information with regards to Scrosoppi FC, the history of our club, as well as the mission and the vision. So Scrosoppi FC was named after Luigi Scrosoppi. He was the patron saint of football. Luigi Scrosoppi, the man, dedicated his life to bettering the lives of youth through sport, and Scrosoppi FC shares in that goal. Scrosoppi FC, or SFC for short, is a player-centric club born out of a shared vision of two clubs and a local soccer enthusiast. Scrosoppi FC is one of the newest League One Ontario franchise, and our mission is to provide high-performance training and development environment for university, professional, and national potential players. Our vision is to establish Scrosoppi FC as a fixture in the community and the iconic brand for playing style, player potential, and club culture within League One Ontario. So I'm now going to introduce you to the heart of our club, our Technical and Operations Advisory Board. This group of individuals has years of experience playing and coaching, and I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves, their role with Scrosoppi FC, and share some insights into who they are as people. So Joey, I'm going to kick it off with you first. You want to speak to your role with Brampton Soccer Club?
Thanks, Maren. My role is Director of Development at Brampton Soccer Club, which involves many different areas, predominantly developing player pathways and coach development schemes to help evolve our implementation of our development programs and obviously the quality of our training environments. So that's my role at Brampton SC. Regarding Scrosoppi FC, I'm on the advisory board, providing technical guidance and leadership and being part of the team. And that alignment from BSC into Scrosoppi FC. So trying to build that sort of network and bridge between the two organizations. Awesome,
thank you, Joey. And would you mind sharing what your favorite memory as a coach is?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd say my favorite memory is winning national championship with Team Ontario U16 boys in 2009. That's one that's still in my heart, and yeah, it was a great memory. Just the whole journey and the whole build up to that sort of big moment when we won the national championship.
Awesome. I also think you have a couple bronze medals there, Joey. I'm surprised that one didn't come up, but U16 championship, I'm sure, is quite memorable.
I'd say if it wasn't for that experience, I don't know if the story of my career would have gone in the direction it did. That was kind of a big inspiring moment.
Awesome. Shane, how about yourself? What is your role with Milton Youth Soccer Club, Scrosoppi FC?
Shane Griffin, I'm the technical director of Milton Youth Soccer Club. And just as Joey is, I'm on the advisory board for Scrosoppi FC and providing that link, kind of pathway and guidance for our players within Milton Youth Soccer Club to Scrosoppi FC.
Awesome. And what is your favorite memory as a coach, Shane?
Favorite memory, I would have to say it was winning our first Ontario Cup with the 2004 boys. It's a pretty big deal. I personally, as a player, had lost in the final 3 years in a row. So I desperately did not want that feeling for my players, for my boys. So I was really proud of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm sure you felt some redemption in there too.
I did.
Sip, how about yourself? What is your role with Milton Youth Soccer Club and Scrosoppi FC?
Well, I'm also a part of the advisory board, and I'm the high performance manager at Milton Youth Soccer Club, helping out technical director Shane with anything that he needs help with. And a big part of my role is managing the scholarship program at the club.
And what is your favorite memory as a coach?
Mine would be an Ontario Cup as well. The first one that my girls at Dixie won back in 2002.
Oh, awesome. First memory of a female experience. Thank you, Sip. That's great.
Sorry, just to touch on the Sip and his role with the scholarship program, I just want to give a big shout out to Baldeep Gill. He committed yesterday to a Division I program. That's so we're really, really proud of him, and just want to give him a big shout out there.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, Zico, over to you. What is your role with Scrosoppi FC?
So as my colleagues here, I'm on the advisory board as well, and my role will be the technical director of Scrosoppi FC.
And your favorite memory as a coach?
My favorite memory as a coach would be when we traveled overseas, beating AIK Stockholm, it's U18s, and then going on to the finals in the Brampton Cup in Denmark. Very, very memorable and unbelievable month of football. So.
Awesome. All right, Jordan, over to you. I'm not going to give it away. And, last but definitely not least, Jordan, what is your role as Scrosoppi FC?
Well, I'll be the head coach of Scrosoppi FC, which is a role I'm really looking forward to doing. My first as a coach, actually, my young learning career here, 32-year-old. So I'm really looking forward to being the head coach and working with some of these guys that you've already heard from.
Awesome. And we're going to give you a different question. What is your favorite memory as a professional player?
It's a tough one, Marin, but I say that it's obviously when I made the senior debut for Glasgow Rangers. It was a long time ago now. It was against LA Galaxy in America. So it sticks in my head because that was what I did. I was from a young kid. I worked hard to get to that stage, and I felt a sense of accomplishment when I got there, and I did that. So there's a lot of good memories, but that was the one that stuck in my head most, was my senior debut.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, I'm really excited to start to be a part of your new memories of those of you coaching. And I'm very excited for the season you have ahead. So we're going to move into now more specific questions about Scrosoppi FC. A lot of these are questions that come right from you guys in the audience, both while you registered as well as leading up to today's event. Shane, I'm going to direct the first question to you. What is the most unique aspect about Scrosoppi FC?
Most unique, I think there are probably a few. The first is, I think, the fact that it's born out of a partnership, like a strong partnership between two highly competitive programs within a relatively close geographical proximity. Two like-minded, directors, Joey and myself, that really, really believe in having and offering player-centric environments for our players, and being committed to operating in ways, in ways that give all players a voice, and being a club that makes decisions that are in the best interest of our players.
Awesome, thank you, Shane. Zico, next question is over to you, and this actually came to us from a parent from Ajax. What is the club culture of Scrosoppi FC?
Great question. We're going to be innovative, player-centric. We're here for the athletes. An important objective is to ensure that we understand the goals and aspirations of each individual in our club and work with them to achieve them. We're going to be hardworking and disciplined, both our staff and our athletes. And we're going to be collaborative. we want everyone to feel like a valued member of the team, and we make it a priority to implement processes that engage with our stakeholders, and especially when it comes to making decisions.
Awesome. Thank you, Zico. Joey, next question is over to you, and this actually comes from a member of your club, an 18-year-old. What kind of athlete is Scrosoppi FC looking for? Like, what kind of athlete would be a good fit for the club?
We're looking for, first off, obviously competent soccer players, but good characters as well. So good human beings that will contribute to the environment, drive that high performance behavior, and it really allows us to have a good growth experience as we go through the year and continue to develop as a new club and as a new entity. When we talk about competency, we always use the 4 areas: players' ability to win 1v1 duels, their ability on the ball in all situations, their soccer speed, so quick dynamic players, but also players that have the quick decisions, and then intelligent players that can read the game and problem solve. So those core areas make up the competent player. When we talk about the character side, hardworking, resilient, honest, courageous, and again, just a good human being.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. Shane, over to you. This question comes from a member of your club, a 17-year-old. What ages are eligible to play for Scrosoppi FC's League One Ontario Premier team?
So as far as the ages, we don't really have a specific top end age. Obviously, we're going to have a mix of good quality, experienced senior players. But we really want to focus on the younger athletes. On the lower end, the League One rules actually state that 2004 would be the age that the youngest age that they could be eligible to play. 2005s could play if they are deemed an exceptional player. And there are certain stipulations that League One have put out. For instance, if you're in a national team pool player, if you live in a geographical area that isn't within a certain proximity to an existing League One program, things of that sort. But it's primarily 2004s and older.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. A question from a 19-year-old from Brampton. What would the commitment be for the League One Premier team? And Jordan, I'm going to pass this one over to you as the head coach.
Again, I would say we need at least 4 nights week training. Based on, I'd like to implement a night of fitness training, probably 2 general pitch-based game-related sessions, followed by maybe another session of group shape and set pieces. So at least 4 nights a week would be compulsory, I would say, as a head coach. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Joey, this question I'm gonna put over to you. So this question came in from a couple different athletes. What would the cost be to participate in Scrosoppi FC's League One Ontario Premier team?
For the Premier team, there will be no cost involved. That's fully funded by the club. Included also is you'll get your uniform, so there's no additional cost for uniform or kit. For players that are traveling over 100 kilometers, we will help support that. So this way, your mileage is obviously covered and expense for the club. Maren, do you want me to touch anything on the reserve team or just the Premier?
Sure, we can get into the reserve team as well.
The reserve team will be a cost involved to play on that. That'd be our groups just right underneath the Premier team, and those will be funded through player fees. And again, those fees will be determined by Milton and Brampton SC, and then communicated out to the members.
Awesome, thank you, Joey. Shane, over to you for this question. What is the plan for the women's program with regards to Scrosoppi FC?
So for this year, for 2021, we don't have a female program as of yet. Between, in discussions with Brampton and ourselves, we just wanted to make sure we had enough players and a strong player pool to to do it within ourselves and not have to reach outside of our clubs, as this is a big focus to really provide opportunities for our own players within our clubs. So for this year, we don't have one, but as the plan is for next year, we will be looking to have at least a female reserve team, potentially a premier team if that does come to fruition. But at very minimum, we're looking to have a reserve female team for 2022.
Awesome. And Shane, actually, do you mind elaborating a little more? We've touched on sort of League One Ontario Premier team, as well as the League One Reserve team in terms of cost. Can you describe a little bit more about what the difference is between the Premier and the Reserve team, and sort of what the objective of the Reserve team is and the objective of the Premier team is?
Yeah, so the Premier team is obviously the first team, our most competent, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, players. We'll have one Premier team, and we have two reserve teams that will act as a feeder system, if you will, to the Premier team. The reserve teams we're looking at predominantly U21. Give a real good solid chance to our younger players to give opportunities in those environments and provide them opportunities to get called up to the Premier as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane. So, within your answer, we sort of, touched on the development pathway of these players and the reserve team being a feeder system into the Premier team. What exactly is the role of League One Ontario within the player pathway for elite soccer players in Ontario? This did come in to us from a parent. Joey, I'm going to pass this one over to you. Can you help articulate sort of the full trajectory of an athlete in Ontario who, is an aspiring professional or wants to play collegiate, and what that pathway looks like for them?
Great question. In the past, youth clubs were operating programs right up until under 18. And then after under 18, if a player went on to university or found their way in the pro ranks, then they moved on into those environments. But there was nothing being provided within the community clubs beyond U18. Ontario Soccer and the clubs eventually came to a common ground and developed these structures above under 18, and that's where League One Ontario came about and was launched. And that's to provide players with a longer term development pathway beyond under 18, because players, soccer players, I'd say they peak around 24 or 20, 25. That's when they really hit their peak. So to allow players that opportunity to reach that sort of peak in high performance, League One Ontario helps provide that platform. It fits, again, beyond under 18. It's to help players who maybe are coming back in the summertime from university college environments to play in a high quality competition. League One Ontario sits right underneath the Canadian Premier League. It's considered Division 2 in terms of the Ontario pyramid of play. So again, it helps platform players onto CPL as well, because again, it's the Division 2 and it's meant to be a feeder. With the reserve teams as well, that provides U21 pathway. So the player pool within League One Ontario is now more expanded. There's more players playing U21 and have that progression opportunity into the Premier team. So again, it's providing a niche area beyond under 18 for aspiring players, and being a real springboard environment too into pro environments for maybe those late developers.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. Question that we had come in from an athlete. So I'm going to ask if you and Shane could sort of speak a little bit more to the partnership between Milton and Brampton. So as I mentioned, Scrosoppi FC was born out of a local soccer enthusiast, our president, Gary Rolino, as well as a partnership between Milton Youth Soccer Club and Brampton Soccer Club. So as much as our club is rooted in that partnership, our club is also open to players outside of Milton Youth Soccer Club and Brampton Soccer Club. But Shane and Joy, I'm just going to have you guys sort of speak a little bit more to what that partnership looks like and what it means for your club and your members.
For us, this is a big step forward for our club. We've had programs, again, like I said, up until under 18. We've not had anything more at that senior level, and this is a great pathway for us, because now players from our club have those progressions and opportunities to continue to compete and develop, beyond under 18. So that's exciting, and to be part of a group of amazing people that are here on the call to work together, to collaborate, to really build a project here that's going to benefit many players across this whole region, not just Brampton, Milton, like you said, Marin. There could be some external players coming in. So it's really about a regional approach, and having the group from Milton and our club working together is just going to strengthen that opportunity that we have here for the great leadership at the club. And the other piece too, I want to say is for those younger players who are maybe like 9, 10, 11, 12, to go out and watch quality soccer here in our clubs is going to be amazing. They'll have role models. They'll get to see best practice and again learn from that senior team in our clubs. So I think that it also paints a nice inspiring future for those young players.
Awesome. Shane, do you have anything to add in terms of the partnership?
Yeah, I would agree. I think this provides that kind of top piece that our club definitely was missing to provide our high performance athletes, high potential athletes to continue to play within our environments. We didn't really have very much beyond U18, so this is a vital piece to allow our players to still stay within Milton and give them a really high quality, high performance environment to continue their careers. Also, we have players going away to university, college, gives them a place to play, stay fit, stay active, stay competitive when they do come back during the summer seasons to help us out with this as well. The cultural piece is huge, as Joey just mentioned. To have those young players come out to see, what it looks like at that next level is essential, really, to providing not only, we provide the technical and the tactical pieces to their development on the field, but it's vital to really have that top senior piece for them to really look to and aspire to and build a club culture that would want them to stay there, stay with us and continue throughout. There's benefits as well. Like with the partnership, we have first access to tickets, season tickets and so forth, swag. And, we're looking to primarily allow Milton and Brampton players to opportunities within Scrosoppi. So, we will be having a certain number of roster spots specifically for Milton and Brampton players. So that's really the goal, is to try and keep it in-house as much as possible, and still welcome some outsiders that would fit into the picture, but it's to really give Brampton and Milton players that opportunity and that added benefit of being within our programs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shane and Joey. And I know everybody on this call, your primary objective is to be provided with a competitive, high performance training environment. But just to touch on what Shane said, as manager of operations, my priority is also to ensure that our club does provide value add to all members of Brampton Youth Soccer Club and Milton Soccer Club in additional ways, like first access to tickets, discounted tickets, exclusive tryout environments. So we're all sort of working together on the technical and the operation side to ensure that, that partnership, there is added value to the members of those two clubs. So Zico, this next question is over to you. This came in from an athlete. Shane sort of touched on the fact that there will be, a fundamental role of Scrosoppi FC to develop Milton and Brampton players, and there will be roster spots allocated to those two clubs, as well as additional individuals outside of the club. But how many players total are we looking to field for a team, for the League One Ontario Premier team?
Another great question. Thanks, Marin. It's going to be 20 athletes for the League One Premier team, and then 20 for the reserve teams.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zico. Jordan, so I've sort of, haven't been allocating too many questions over to you, but I do have a big major one. So this is a question from, a 19-year-old. What are you most excited about in terms of coaching in League One Ontario Premier?
I'm hugely excited. First and foremost, I'm in a new country. I'm working with a new club. I'm working with new guys who, as we listen to right now, are all bringing something different to the table. awesome. I'm looking really forward to that, to working with these guys. We're going to build a competitive side, and we're going to make our own mark on League One. I've no doubt in that. With me there, myself, and the guys behind me, and helping everybody pulling in the same direction, I believe we'll be successful in that. So I'm really, really hyped about the situation going forward. So I can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Can you speak a little bit to sort of your vision at all on the technical side, just sort of high level? I realize it depends a lot on, our tryouts and what our roster is.
It's hugely on players and what we have at our disposal. But I say, when me and the guys get together, I believe we'll come up with a strategic plan that's going to go forward, and we'll implement it into the players quickly, and we'll move the club forward in the right direction. I think right now we'll build a competitive side very quickly. I think we'll do that based on the tryouts, and then we'll not give too much away in our strategies and what formations and stuff. But I believe we've got enough guys there that things are going to go well very quickly. I believe so myself, being a young head coach, having played the game long enough. I believe that I know what it takes to improve players. As Joey touched on it before, even guys that are a wee bit older, there's always room for improvement. I like to use this quote: every day's a school day, and I still believe that. So everybody will get their fair opportunities, and I say the guys that are here behind me and working with me they're terrific. So things are going to go well. I'm super hyped.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. So one question that just came in the chat, and it's a question I've been fielding from many of you because you're very excited to get involved with Scrosoppi. You asked, when are tryouts? So before we get into tryouts, I just want to touch, high level on sort of League One Ontario and the plan for the season. Myself as manager of operations and everyone on our technical and advisory board can attest to the fact that League One Ontario is, trying to do everything in their power to have a season come to fruition this year. It does mean, lots of pivoting and changing of plans, but they're really, doing their due diligence of communicating with the stakeholders, the license holders, and trying to make a plan that can work for each club. We should have more clarity by mid-June of what exactly that plan will look like. With regards to tryouts, how, for a club to be able to host tryouts with COVID-19 restrictions, one of either Milton or Brampton regions will need to be in the orange zone. As soon as we are in the orange zone, we will post information with regards to date and time of tryouts. We will be hosting an open tryout, and there will also be an exclusive Milton and Brampton tryout. So all that information, will be on our website, and I'll be tracking in the back end what club individuals are coming from that are interested in trying out, and which tryout, suits you and your needs. One exciting development, given the ambiguity surrounding this season, as well as, acknowledging the difficult times right now with regards to COVID-19, we have decided to make all tryouts free. So for any of you who are on this call that may have already registered for open tryouts, you will be refunded. There will be no cost to open tryouts at this time this year. The structure of open tryouts is very much dependent on numbers. Once we have numbers confirmed, we'll have a detailed plan of exactly what will happen on the day of tryouts, but it will include a dynamic warm-up as well as matches. If anyone has any questions about tryouts, I'll put my contact information in the chat. The actual process, once a date is released, there will be lots of paperwork on your end. Again, with regards to COVID-19 waivers and liability forms, as well as anyone who comes to tryout will need to complete a short-term registration permit. But all those details, I will be sure to be communicated to you, any interested athlete. So please stay tuned, and you'll know that tryout information will, be posted in more detail on our website once we sort of get into that red zone in anticipation of being in an orange zone. And being eligible to host, I should say, legally able to host tryouts. So lastly, for all interested athletes, again, I'll throw my email in the chat. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to email me, as well as follow us at Scrosoppi FC on Instagram. But I will throw it over to the chat to see if anybody has any questions. So I did just have another question. Can we register now for trials? You can register. When you register now, you're basically checking off all the COVID liability forms, and I'm collecting your information, and then you're being added to a prospect database. And I email that full list of individuals every time a new update arises. And generally a new update arises when we go into a zone that makes us one little bit closer to being eligible to hosting tryouts. So one question, from the audience, what does the technical staff look like for both Premier and Reserve teams? So Jordan is our head coach for the Premier team. Joey and Shane, I don't know if you want to touch at all on the Reserve teams in terms of what the technical staff will look like.
Yeah, so we're going to be having two reserve teams, as I mentioned earlier. One will be primarily run by Brampton FC and one by Milton. So on our end, we'll have Andrew Siraj will be the head coach of the reserve team. He'll also be assisting Jordan with the Premier team. Andrew he's on the call here. He's the head coach, been the head coach of Sheridan College for, I believe, 10, 11 years, something along those lines. So very experienced and well-versed coach. So he'll be running the reserve, one of the reserve teams.
And then on the Brampton SC side, we'll be promoting some of our technical staff within our current club to help run and be the technical leads for the other reserve group within Scrosoppi FC.
Awesome, thank you. So we had a question come in saying most games will be in Milton at BR on turf. So that is correct. Most games will be in Milton. Our final schedule plan is very much dependent on what our season will look like. But we are hoping to host at least one game in Brampton, again, to sort of acknowledge that partnership between both regions and celebrate both Brampton and Milton. But the home field for Milton will be at Bishop Redding on the turf field. And Shane, you can correct me if that was wrong.
No, that's correct. That's correct.
Somebody asked where you can find the forms to email me. So again, I'll put my email in the chat at the very end of this. Please email me directly and I will send you the links where you can find the forms and make sure that you're added to that prospect list. We had one question. This is a question for the coach. Does League One Ontario teams actually go out of country? I know some Rep A and Rep B teams do not end up going out of country. I just want to say that, our travel plan, our long-term travel plan is very different than this season travel plan. With regards to this season travel plan, we have a tentative plan for possibly one trip to the US in the fall. But again, our travel plan for this season is going to look very unique, very different to other years based on the fact that we're in a pandemic. And I can't say, with any sort of confirmation that there will be any travel this year, again, given COVID-19. Somebody asked about fees for the reserve team, if they'll be prorated adjusted if the season is shortened by COVID-19. Joey and Brampton, Joey and Shane, you're welcome to add this to this, but at this time we can't even say what those fees would look like because those fees won't be confirmed until there is a confirmed season length. But League One Ontario is absolutely prorating it. So, you guys can touch on the backup players fees will also be prorated if you want to add to anything I've said.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it there, Maren. It's the competition will be prorated based on number of games, which then would impact the total player fees incurred from the players. And in terms of the amount of training that we can provide and those services, that will all be again figured out and budgeted in the end, and then the overall budget would then break down per player the actual rate.
Thank you, Joey. One other question that just came in the chat: what ages can try out? So I just want to reiterate that if you're in the audience and you are a 2000 born athlete, we would have to go through the due diligence of trying to get a exceptional player request permit for you. So 2005 is too young, but you are welcome to email me once I put in the chat, because I actually do have, I am managing a prospect list of athletes that are too young to keep you in the know for next year when you will be eligible. So, us saying you're too young is really us just saying you're too young this year. Next year's a new year. Next year you'll be eligible. So don't let that statement hold you back from engaging with us and, allowing us to add you to our prospect list and keep you on our radar for future years. But 2004 is the youngest eligible to try out, and we have no age cutoff for tryouts.
And Maren, just to build on that, that's also where, when we talked about the League One reserve for females, 2022, with I know in our club we've got a wide base of players at the 2005 girls age group. So again, it kind of fits in with the timeline of having 2022 at a minimum a reserve team for females.
Awesome. And Joey, and a question just came in the chat saying, will there be a women's reserve team this year? So just to reiterate Joey's last sentiment, that next year is when we're looking to start the reserve program for the females. Someone wrote in, I'm an 05, so I can't try out till next year. That is correct. You can still email me. I can still add you to our prospect list. I can keep you on our radar, but next year you will be able to try out. So it looks like we've acknowledged all the questions in the chat. Does anybody from this group have any last words they want to say about Scrosoppi FC or the season ahead? While I sort of, let everybody think to see if there's any last questions that come up.
I'll say a few words to our potential athletes. Tryouts we're hoping that they're coming sooner rather than later. Just stay motivated, keep working. We know it's very difficult to continue doing, the online training, but do your best to stay in shape. That way you present yourself as best as possible in the tryouts. Stay motivated and just keep working hard, and it's not that far off, guys. So.
Zico, I loved that. Can you actually, sorry, I just want to build on that. How do you stay motivated through the pandemic?
Man. So I think now it's starting to become a little bit of a norm, all these extensions and lockdowns and stay at homes. But I think the best thing you can do is just keep surrounding yourself with football. And if you do, lose any drive or so on, I would say reach out to one of your coaches that you're currently working with now and just have a chat with them. They're always good positive figures to support you through it. There's always going to be people there to help you in any way you can. But I think surrounding yourself with football is fantastic. The Champions League's around the corner. The tournaments in summer are coming up. So I think it's, we have stuff that we got to look forward to. So just keep that in mind and, do your best to just keep working and prepare yourself physically, mentally, and technically.
Yep. That's cool.
Awesome. And then we had one last question come in before we move into Scrosoppi FC trivia. Someone asked about age restrictions for the reserve team. So Shane, you touched on sort of the objective of the reserve team and that playing as a feeder system into the League One Premier team. So for sure the age limit is, again, that 2004 cutoff. But do you want to speak a little bit to sort of what the maximum age would be for that group?
Maximum age we're looking for the reserves would be 21. We really want to focus on having a strong young environment and providing them opportunities to flourish and show their skills.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we do have Scrosoppi FC trivia now. It's going to be in the form of poll questions. We will randomly draw 3 winners, and I will connect with you about getting a Scrosoppi FC prize pack in your hands. Sorry, I will ask this one last question. So for real, the last question this time. For the coaches, in your eyes, what is a unique aspect or skill that you believe would be a good midfielder should have? Jordan, I'll kick this one over to you. What do you think is a really good skill a midfielder should have?
For me, hard work is imperative to being a good midfielder. You need to be able to go box to box, opposition box and your own box. I think it's imperative to being a good midfielder. The modern day midfield players now that you watch, they're top athletes. They're super fit. And I think that would be my biggest thing. As a midfielder, you need to be in tip-top condition and fitness, yeah.
Awesome.
You want to impress Jordan, just watch some Stevie Gerrard.
Exactly, Zico. Here.
All right, thank you, Jordan. And thank you, great question. All right, we're going to launch our poll. There is 4 questions. Everybody should be able to see this now.
Yep.
So why is the club called Scrosoppi FC? What two clubs formed a partnership? True or false, there's no cost. And when are Scrosoppi FC tryouts? Love it. Everybody remembered Scrosoppi FC is the patron saint of football. And he wanted to better his life. He wanted to better the lives of youth through sport, just like us. Milton and Brampton are the clubs that formed a partnership. No fee for the premier team. There is a fee for the reserve teams. And we are going to host tryouts as soon as we possibly can, which means that Milton or Brampton have to become in the orange zone. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I will send out a post-event survey to everybody who registered in the Eventbrite. And I also will be sure to send a thank you email, which will, again, include my email address, a link to the registration page on our website, but you can also just email me directly and I'll make sure to get all aspiring and interested athletes onto our prospect list so that we can keep you on our radar. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. I don't know if you guys, the technical staff, want to say a quick thank you.
Thank you, everybody,
guys.
for joining in.
Look forward
Thanks.
to meeting you guys.
Everybody, great turnout. Thank you.
Thank you.